Howdy folks, it's Astrid. Welcome and/or welcome back to Stay Beautiful, the podcast. It's a podcast. Today's episode is special for a couple of reasons, which you probably read in the title. If not, stick around to find out. So we're right around the bend from one of my favorite times of the year when we undo all the dieting we've done over the last 9 months because holiday calories don't count. Yes, I realize Thanksgiving is 6 days away, but I've decided to stick to my Friday scheduling for holiday videos. Thanksgiving in particular, I find really benefits from a little forethought, and I'm not talking about meal prep. Particularly this year, it's been, suffice to say, a rough couple months. Where to begin? If you've seen some of my backlog, you're probably familiar with Ben, my friend and ally for the past 30 years or so. He's currently lying in a hospital bed, relatively stable but comatose. They're unsure when or if he will recover, so if you're the praying sort, then please do that. Then a day or two later, I get the news that a long-standing local pillar of the trans community has recently succumbed to her struggle with cancer. Donna, you will be sorely missed. But that 1-2 gut punch was just the latest in a series of unfortunate events. Finances have been tighter than usual lately, and if you've got astute eyes and ears, you may realize my past couple videos have not been to the same benchmark of quality from a technical perspective. That's because in late October, I managed to spill my drink inside the MacBook I've been using for all my audio and video production. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes when one is an insomniac, one makes terrible life choices in the wee hours of the morning trying to shut one's brain off. So that's in the shop with all my audio files, scripts, and various other things important to day-to-day life, as well as the channel along with it. Repairs will be cheaper than a new refurbished machine, but still a substantial unexpected expense. Meanwhile, I dusted off my long-neglected PC, which I think is a 2011. Suffice to say a relic, but it's where I started with video production. And so I've been limping along on that for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't seem to have done too badly. If the 10,000 or so views on the What's Love Got to Do With It video are any indication. Thank you all so much, by the way. I am so blown away that you enjoyed it that much. Anyway, as a result of this laundry list of bad news, I spent most of the weekend in a depressive slump. Again, could have done better, but one thing and another, I was just overwhelmed and feeling particularly vulnerable and powerless. I'm an introvert, so withdrawal comes a bit too naturally to me. But that said, I'm doing my best to pull myself out of it. Now, Astrid, you may say, this is a Thanksgiving video. Why the pity party? So glad you asked, hypothetical viewer. While this is the season we celebrate all the blessings we have received in life, at least here in the USA, sorry to my Brazilian friends and anyone else who may be tuning in from another country. At the end of the day, this is real life, and we have real life problems that are not just going to conveniently go away for the holidays. For many folks, they just get worse. So holiday or no, practicing Thanksgiving despite all that, giving thanks with our eyes open, is no simple task, but it's one I've taken on. Cheesy or no, it's important when you're in the thick of it to count your blessings. So number one, you. For anyone who has enjoyed my videos, liked, commented, shared, supported me through merch store or buy me a coffee, I thank God for you, and I thank you for being you. In particular, a huge shout out to my subscribers, Ken, Bob, Bobby, Jeff, Carlin, Richard, Ricardo, Jessica, Eugene, Hen, and the 45 who prefer to remain nameless. Which means yes, I've just blown past 50 subscribers and my previous channel, started in 2019 I might add. More on that later. I want to gush and I want to celebrate, but I also want to keep the flow going here. I'm thankful for friends, family, and associates who have for the most part embraced me as Astrid with open arms. I approached coming out with a good deal of pessimism on that front, but I'm overjoyed to be proven wrong about it. I've spoken to enough trans folk that I know this is the exception and not the rule. Far too many find themselves estranged from people they thought they knew best, and my heart goes out to them. That's never a good place to be. But I personally have been blessed with this gift of positivity, and it is my fullest intent to pay it forward. And a large part of how I do that is through my efforts here on YouTube. Am I doing a good job? I don't know, but the evidence seems to suggest I'm reaching people. I'm thankful to be working 2 awesome part-time jobs with some of the best people on earth. In the one, I get to have a profound impact on people's lives, and in the other, I get to do what I love, all that nerdy audio engineering stuff you're hearing on the channel. It's been a huge area of growth over the past few years as I upgraded my home studio and got serious about digital recording. And while live sound is a totally different ballgame, the occasional stressful moment is well worth it for the satisfaction that my efforts are well received. I mean, I could say it sounds better with me there, but that's pretty subjective. So while I may gripe about finances from time to time, I have zero complaints about the source of said finances. I'm thankful to be living in a day and age when it's so easy to reach out and connect with people like this. Even in the short span of my life, I remember a time when you had to be rich and have your own team to publish videos. Now anybody with a smartphone and 2 minutes of spare time can do it. Yes, you get some, shall we say, substandard content, but you also get a lot of gems that the mainstream media would never expose you to. And it feels good to be doing independent art, particularly music. And to think I can do this all by myself and publish worldwide at the click of a mouse, I could not have even conceived of something like that 30 years ago. I'm thankful for my continued health. Despite a few persistent and minor issues, my body is doing remarkably well for a woman of my age. I blame the celibate life. And again, I realize not everyone is in the same boat, including some very close to me and dear to my heart. If you're suffering from chronic or severe health issues, my heart goes out to you. We all have our crosses to bear. We have to do our best to focus on the positive, even if it means borrowing the hope and faith of others from time to time. Last, I want to focus on how truly grateful I am to have a hope and a faith. I realize we live in what's known as a post-Christian world. Interesting choice of words, but that's probably a topic for another time. Suffice to say, I can say with utmost confidence that we're not alone on this muddy little rock we call Earth, that there's more to life than a series of improbable happenstances, that there was a guiding hand that set it all in motion and continues to maintain that great machine that is the universe to this very day. Even more incredible, this intelligence doesn't watch dispassionately from the distance like some aloof titan of ancient myth, but takes an active hand in the lives of his creations. He is all-powerful, yes, but all-loving. He cares for us deeply, deeply enough to bleed and die for us. He continues to invite us into his ongoing work of creation as active participants in the process. And if that's not amazing, I don't know what is. And here's where folks will have their differing but equally valid worldviews or views on the character of whatever higher power might exist. That's fine. Please understand that I say these things not as an attack on your beliefs or an attempt to convert you, but simply to express how I feel about it. I believe in a world where there can be civil discourse about spiritual matters between wildly differing points of view. Who knows? We might actually learn something from each other. So if talk of my faith offends you, you're more than welcome to skip ahead. Oh, and just a word of explanation, I use he, his pronouns for God, as that's the culturally accepted norm in the Christian faith, not because I believe in a binary masculine God. Quite the contrary, as you may have heard me say before in a previous podcast, so please don't be offended. Many people stumble on the idea of evil in the world. And yes, I think that's one thing we can all agree on. There is evil in the world. There's death and war and disease, betrayal, lies, bigotry, and oppression. These things are ugly. Many people will ask the question, and rightly so, if God is all-powerful and all-loving, why doesn't he put a stop to evil? The implication being either that a loving God would not allow such suffering, and therefore he's not as powerful as people claim, or that an all-powerful God who allowed such atrocities to happen must be indifferent at best or hostile at worst. These images of God have taken on a nearly archetypal significance, which is why I believe many are tempted to just call malarkey on the whole religion thing and put their faith elsewhere, which is understandable. For many years, that's precisely what I did. But hear me out. God only allows evil insofar as he values the free-willed, independent nature of the people he created. God didn't want a bunch of mindless automatons working on internal programming that couldn't be altered. He wanted a people created in his image, people who could choose to love and create. Giving us a choice meant giving us the spark of the divine sentience, but it also meant we're free to make bad choices. In short, God chose to create beings who could choose to love him back. Love without a choice is just obligation. It means nothing. The rest of it, that's on us. We've got to own that to blame God for every shitty decision a human being has made is short-sighted, to say the least. God, who is all-knowing, knew the consequences. He knew the great damage that would be done to himself as well as to his creations. But in order that love might be fully expressed, he did it anyway. Now yes, there's holes in my logic here. Not all suffering comes from human causes. In recent years, especially, we're very cognizant of the impact of disease, famine, and natural disasters, and that's something that's sorely out of our hands to control. So does God punish the innocent with the guilty by these means? Is God himself capable of that sort of evil? That's certainly one way to look at it, but as a counterpoint, there was a singular event called the Fall, where humankind chose to rebel, and death was brought into the world because of it. I believe this singular event brought a level of corruption to the fabric of our universe and every living being in it, and the ripples of that event are still being felt today, in nature as well as in mankind. Our ancestors' rebellion may have set in motion events of which God is not directly in control. Could he stop them? Absolutely, at any time, but, and admittedly this is where my logic gets tenuous, to prevent evil in the natural world would shield us from the consequences of the evil choices we make. So he's chosen to allow this corrupted universe machine to carry on its course, knowing that in the fullness of time, he'll remake it as an incorruptible paradise. That's my 2 cents anyway. Okay, I had to give you a hearty helping of meat with your Thanksgiving dinner, but now on to a lighter course. As previously mentioned, I recently hit a milestone. Well, 2 really. I hit the 50 subscriber mark and blew past the Backwater J count as well. Yes, I know, 50 is chump change by YouTube standards, but it's an important one to me. And I have each and every one of you to thank. Even if you're not subscribed, you tune in at some point, and those numbers add up to catch people's attention on this crowded platform. Not that numbers mean anything really, other than as a barometer of how well my content resonates with people. But it is such a joy to me to have caught so much attention in a few short months' time. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was thinking in terms of something I could do to give back to the community. And as I said earlier, the finances are spread pretty thin for the time being, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm guessing that most of you tune in for my music-related content. At least that's what the numbers seem to suggest. And while I'm excited to get some more original music out, I also have been stretching my wings with cover songs. So here's what I'm going to do. In honor of 50 subs, I'll let you, the fans, pick out the next cover song that I do. Now I've got a few caveats here. I won't do covers with lyrics I deem to be offensive to anyone, and there are also a few artists I'm avoiding as they nearly always result in copyright strikes. And of course, you've heard my stuff. It tends to fall loosely under the pop/rock/alternative umbrella. I'm not saying limit yourself to those, I relish a challenge. But at the same time, I realize that the further you get from that familiar ground, the dicier my chances of having a decent go at it. Otherwise, anything's on the table. Any song, any artist, as long as it can be found somewhere on the internet in at least an audio recording. So here's how this is going to work. Post your suggestions in the comments for this video. Only 1 suggestion per person, please, including both song title and artist. I'll likely get multiple options, so I'll pick which one to do based on which comment gets the most likes. Yes, the dreaded democracy. December 1st will be decision day, so please remember to get your suggestions and your votes in by then. Also, please bear in mind I do have another song or 2 in the pipeline, so Viewer's Choice may not be the next release, but it will be coming soon. With that, my friends, we've come to the end of another podcast. Congratulations! Something TikTok attention spans. To show the world your awesomeness, you may now throw your hat into the ring for my next cover song in the comments below. I'm Astrid Lenore, and until next time, stay beautiful.